That photograph there is a photograph of the original band called the 4Js. And it's strange because in this little thing, show I've gotten me for that was the start of the band. And then this photo is virtually the end of the band when we did the Matthew Street Festival. So it spans a lot of years, a lot of travelling, a lot of meeting famous and infamous people, you know, and quite a bit of history on that. You've got this one, this is Cilla Black came to the Cavern, and she was doing that show, she did Surprise, Surprise. But you didn't know that the Blue Jeans were in there, the Searchers were in there, the Fourmost were in there, and we were surprising Cilla. So that's a little shot that Joey had the band and me had taken on the stage. This is a little thing, that's the band in the 70s, the long-haired 70s, that one there. This is my ex-girlfriend called Nikki Stevens. She ended up with a band called Brotherhood of Man, you know, Save Your Kisses for Me and all that. That was my ex. We should have got married, but I wasn't fortunate enough to keep her. Roger McGough should have been the Poet Laureate. And this is Roger's OBE. When you get an OBE, you get the medal, and they give this little certificate on your wall to say that the Queen likes you. You see, so that's his OBE. And this here is a shot taken of the cast of the Beatles Christmas show, Finsbury Park Astoria in London. All the Beatles came down. You know, there's John, Ringo, you know, George, and you know, there's John down there. And next door to him in full stage makeup is a very thin face to me. We've just been doing a thing. And the little guy in the specs behind George Harrison is Rolf Harris of all people. That's the beat. You go, done. So you block the, but there's other techniques where you just get the strings and you go. And then if you release your fingers off the strings, you get, right. And I call this a ringing bass. This is one of my own systems, this. This called E7. You've got an open E, then an E. If you want to get a bit rocky, you can let that bass ring and get this. She was just 17, you know what I mean, and the way she looked was way beyond compare. I could have danced with another, and I saw her standing there. They had a competition throughout the country, and anybody who, all the bands that were in the bands groups that were in the competition that won their little thing for their particular county came down to the final, or the finale, if you like, on television. There's David Jacobs there, there's Brian Epstein in the back, obviously, we're all named at the front. The unfortunate thing is that any Liverpool band in there didn't have, they had a little shadow hanging over them, because everyone would say, no wonder they, you know, all the other bands would be saying, no wonder they won if they did win. She didn't, but if you did win, you know, all the judges were Scousers, you know, and we would never have done that, would we? When skiffle became the in thing to do, a lot of people went, like myself, from the country music, doing the skiffle. And then when the rock and roll came in, and I first heard Carl Perkins and Little Richard and all the others, you know, I went, oh, this'll do me. And to be honest with you, when I saw the look in some of the teenage girls' eyes of people who were on the stage playing this stuff, I have to admit, I said, I want some of that. We ended up doing a season at the London Palladium. It says there, season from May to December 1964. It was supposed to last for 7 weeks. It lasted nearly 8 months. We were there with Cilla, Frankie Vaughan, Tommy Cooper. We lost an awful lot of money doing this, because we did 13 shows a week at the Palladium, and what we were getting for a week there, we could have got for 2 one-night stands, because we were number 4 in the charts. But Mr. Brian Epstein, through his wisdom, decided to get no get-out clause, but it served us in good stead for later on in our lives, because when the records stopped, people knew that we were a Palladium band, and that put you that far up the ladder in the cabaret world that we did lots and lots of work here and abroad, doing variety shows and this, that and the other. So it's balanced itself out, I think. This is a Beatles show, Christmas show for the Beatles, when we had a band called the 4Js originally, at the Cavern, and you can see all the lads, the Beatles, dressed as Daddy Christmas and all that. So you got Paul McCartney playing a banjo, of all things, John Lennon playing his harmonica, which he loved anyway. There's myself and the late Mike Millward on drums, and then our first drummer, Brian Redman. A lot of people talk about the Liverpool sound, and all the clubs that he used to play and this, that and the other. And a lot of the bands, apart from the Beatles, Jerry and the Pacemakers and that, who were virtually became professional, Rory Storm and the Hurricanes, and another band as well. A lot of the bands, like myself, they were working during the day, and most of the gigs they did were at weekends. And there were various clubs, like if you played in North Liverpool, there's a Jive Hive in Crosby. If you became a Jive Hive group, you went up the ladder. And the ladder basically was Bill Harry's Merseybeat newspaper. If you became a Cavern group, then you sort of went into a different ladder. It's one of those things, because it became the centre, really, of the Beat music. The other place, like the Iron Door, I first saw the Beatles at the Iron Door at an all-night session job. I went on, say, 7 at night to 7 the following morning. And because I used to work at weekends, they worked during the week, the only chance I had to see these fellas from Germany, was at this all-night session. And the music was downstairs in the basement, and there's no booze. Well, there was booze, but your girlfriend took it in a handbag, all the business. And I was upstairs. We'd done our set, having the coffee. Somebody said, "Oh, the Beatles are they're going on in a minute." And I go, "Oh yeah." I wanted to be cool, I'll go down when I want to, So I sat there, and they kicked off, and this music came pounding through the floor, and I went, "Oh, I've got to have a look at this." And I went downstairs, and the first song, I think they're about halfway through it, was Mr. Postman. I became a fan of the group then, still am. The amazing George Martin, he was our producer, same as the Beatles and all that. Loads and loads of things with George. I cannot say how much I admire that man. I know people have talked about the Beatles and their music, and when they had enough of, because when they went on stage, all it was, they go on stage, the curtain would go up, and it was cacophony of young women screaming their heads off. Sometimes John said to me, even Paul said to me, we never even sang, and it was just, so they got disillusioned. And when they said no more travelling, and they put all the efforts into the music, I think the whole world was a lot richer for that, awful lot richer for that. They created the base for different types of songwriting, this, that, and the lyrics, whatever. Some of them were good. My only moan is that they didn't give George Harrison enough time in the studios, because anybody that writes a love song like Something deserves a medal to me. And the lad's dead now, but he's one of my favourite Beatles, because when we did lunchtime sessions at the Cavern, you go there lunchtime, then the same bands would play that night, so it was one load in, one load out, 2 gigs at one place. And George used to come to our house in Dingle, and he used to sit in the front room, we play guitar, this, that, loads and loads of times, to save him going home, they don't speak then. And then we'd go and do the evening show. And my mum would see him, like, with the hair and the leather and all, and she'd go, I'll be counting the spoons when he goes, oh, this, that and the other. And then when they sort of became the Beatles, internationally famous Beatles, it was, oh, little Georgie used to come, we used to love him, little Georgie then, she hated him. But when he got famous, that all changed. And when we started doing these things, when we went down to Abbey Road with George Martin and all that, he went, oh, what's going on here? But he had such an open mind, George, because he's a classically trained man. If George Martin hadn't have had the nous and the spirit to say, yeah, I'll have a go at that, we would have been lost. We would have been lost without George Martin, you know, we really would. And like Carl Perkins, you got this, in a song called Honey Don't, most weird starts, and it goes, and the chords go from E to C, and you go, nobody does changes, but there you go, here's how it starts, and here's how it goes. Well, how come you say you will when you won't? Say when you win, you don't. Let me know, honey, how you feel. Tell the truth now, is love a real one? Honey, don't. Honey, don't. Goes on, honey, don't. Oh, honey, don't. Hey, honey, notice them blocking. Honey, don't. Say you will when you won't. Honey, don't. Apart from the places that you played, to get you established in various hierarchies, you know, you'd be like sort of minor celebrities in your own city, you know. It's, you know, when the gig was finished, you know, where did you go? And it's basically Joe's Cafe in the top of Duke Street. It's not there anymore. One of the first places to do big pans of curry and this, that and the other. And the tables, some of the tables were laid out like a canteen, all big long tables and things. And you found that when you really made it, we used to have a laugh with the, I'd call them the lads, the Beatles as such. But when you'd walk in some nights and they'd be there and they would call us over to their table for a laugh, you'd made it. You know, you'd made it to that particular level. They had a couple of the photos in there on the wall, but it's something to look at and see, you know. Sometimes it's good. You get some people and they start from nothing and they build up and they build up and they build up and they build up until they just about pay for the house and maybe 1 or 2 holidays they'd be sang with, and everything's got to a certain point where I'm at my maximum now. I was at my maximum when I was 22 years of age. I was young enough and I was fit enough to enjoy it. And I did all those things. It turned out not as well as I thought it would. But those memories, you know, I can look back on those memories and say, by God, I've lived some kind of a life, haven't I? And so I did it the wrong way around, or in my case, the right way around. George Harrison. Just the chords. You know, something in the way you see me. Attract me like no other. Something in a smile that shows me don't want to leave for now. No, I believe it. It's beautiful, isn't it? Beautiful. Pity knows it about Patty Boyd, but still. So there's the old guitar.